It's time for Maggie and the Moms, where we celebrate but never sugarcoat parenting. On our panel today is Kiva Williams. She is the Fun Foodie Mama on Instagram, and she is a mother of 3. Back with us as well, Stephanie Rodriguez-Neely of the Tampa Bay Moms Group. She is a mother of 5 children. And Laura Byrne, a mother of 2 boys and the editor of Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine. This is the May issue, which is out now, featuring super cool and inspiring Tampa Bay moms. Ladies, good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Thank you. We're going to start with disciplining don'ts. I'm going to share a list which was compiled by Parents Magazine using a number of parenting books, and they outline mistakes that we all tend to make when we're doling out discipline to our kids. So let's go. Number 1, they say do not scold in public. Number 2 mistake, giving vague instructions, not being specific enough. Bribing for fast results. Addressing the issue when your child is hungry or tired is a big mistake that parents make, as well as going on and on, giving lengthy lectures every time they do something wrong, shaming and comparing them to a sibling, piling on, continuing to say, you did this, you did that, and just not letting up, and letting things slide, because then they learn there aren't really consequences for not doing things. I am guilty of so many of these. They were really eye-opening for me. I'm curious to hear your take, Laura.
I'm definitely guilty of 2 for sure that I saw in there, and that's the bribery. I tend to run my errands right after I pick up my kids, and sometimes I have to bring them, especially my 5-year-old, since we have about an hour. And sometimes, you know, at the end of the school day, they're kind of that whole beat. They've been so well behaved all day. They're finally with mom, and they just want to kind of get it all out. So yeah, I do bribe sometimes with like a candy bar or like chips or
but is that
something.
bribing or a reward?
It's
yeah,
because
there's a fine line.
Like, hey, if you're really good, just then
so
then we'll let you get something at the end. But usually it's a snack anyway that he needs. So is it technically bribing?
What the article says about that is that if you bribe, then you teach them that good behavior comes with a payoff when they should assume it's expected. I'm not going to get rewarded for what I'm supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. So we don't bribe necessarily, but we do reward. So we phrase it different. It's not like if you're good, you get candy, or it's, hey, if we're good and we get out of the store quick enough, we'll have time to go get an ice cream.
Yeah.
So it's kind of explaining too, your actions have good and bad consequences. Like, plus mommy wants an ice cream sometimes, so it's nice for everybody. Yes. So it's I try not to bribe, but I definitely reward and I offer rewards, because I also think, it's hard being a kid. So sometimes you should have a payday for being good.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that. Do you make any of those mistakes, Kiva?
I do, and I think it depends on the age, because I do bribe my 3-year-old, because it's hard reasoning with a toddler, especially a toddler, a girl. She just goes from 0 to 100 really fast. So I'm like, okay, listen, do you want candy? Please be quiet. We just gonna run in here really quick and get it done. So yeah, I kind of do bribe.
You know, the one that really stuck with me that I didn't even realize I did it till I read this, it made so much sense. So every time that I've tried to discipline my kids when they're tired or hungry, it's never led to anything good. And it never occurred to me, of course, you're trying to rationalize with somebody who is exhausted. It's always led to yelling and acting out and screaming. So what the article suggests, which I love and I'm totally going to start doing, is saying, you know what, we're going to talk about this after dinner, or we're going to talk about this tomorrow morning after you've slept. And then you have a better chance of getting through to the kid.
Well, with that though, that kind of reminds me of the one where it was don't scold in public. I feel like you don't have to. Sometimes all it takes is that look going, stop, we're going to talk about this later.
That's worse.
Right. They will punish themselves. They will punish themselves till we get home. You get home, that whole house is clean before you get the groceries in. And then we're like, let's talk. And they're like, what? Next time we're out, can you try not to touch things? And they're like, that's it. But they'll punish themselves. So just let them know, hey, we're going to discuss it later. That alone is enough punishment most of the time.
Yep, I agree. Any other ones that stood out to you?
It was the last one, and I'm totally spacing on what it was.
Oh, the one about don't let it slide.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes it's because again, as a parent, you've had a long day, a lot is going on, the kid has a lot going on. Sometimes it's like, is it worth the battle?
Right.
Sometimes I maybe let things slide a lot more than maybe my husband would, which makes him feel like he's bad cop and I'm good cop.
Does that lead to freaking out though? Because for me it does. There are definitely times when I do freak out, but I try to because I remember as a kid, the one thing I hated from anybody to this day, if someone yells at me or raises their voice at me, and it wasn't like my parents, it was to me, it was the worst punishment, more than being grounded.
Yeah, see,
I hate being yelled at.
When I let things slide, because I tend to be very okay, if it's not gonna matter in 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years, why am I gonna make a big deal? But after 5 other things have happened, then it takes the smallest thing, that extra dish that got put into the sink, and I'm like,
and then you blow
and then
up.
I feel personally attacked. It's like, I'm doing so much, you can't just wash this dish.
And you become a monster.
And I become a monster. So
Yeah.
I absolutely freak out. I'm guilty of so many. I will say, like, you know, it's completely, you know, nonsensical with what I do let slide and what I do freak out about.
Yeah.
But I always go back. I've said it before. I have no problem apologizing to my kids. I think it humanizes me and lets them know no matter who you are, it's okay to admit you're wrong and what you can do better next time.
I love that. And I love that we can learn from each other and from articles like this. All right, let's spin the wheel. Let's see what our first wheel topic of the day is going to be. Number one. Okay, this is a new one. This is at what age? So what we do is I think it's great to compare notes as far as, you know, at what age will you let your kids do or have certain things? Today our topic is cell phones. I have a 15-year-old who has a cell phone and has for a few years, and a 10-year-old who's dying to have one. So I'm curious to know your take on this. Kiva, your son just became a teenager.
Yes, and I was totally against him having a cell phone. He's a 7th grader, but of course when he went to middle school, everyone has a cell phone, so it's all my friends have cell phones, so me and my husband were like, okay, no, let's wait a little bit, see how you do your first year. So when he became 12, he got a cell phone. But I hate to admit this, guys, you know how with each child you kind of get lenient and more lenient?
Lenient, sure.
So my 7-year-old has a cell phone, guys. I know. It was one of those like
No judgment zone.
Well, and look,
I
and you
know.
save money when you add people to the plan. It
That's
just
what
makes
I'm
sense.
saying.
That is a valid
That's what
point.
happened.
You know,
You got added for free.
Is it internet enabled, the little ones?
Yeah, so we it's basically like a tablet, but he has a cell phone, and I'm just like, really, you're 7?
Yeah.
I mean, 12 and 7.
But with COVID too, that's how they're connecting right now.
Yeah.
So there
I
are
just
practical
say use
applications.
restrictions. Be
Yes,
careful.
heavy,
you know.
yes.
But you have to judge what's best for you and what's best for your kid. I think it totally depends on the kid. Do you, Stephanie?
Absolutely. My 12-year-old now, she's had a phone since she was 9, but it was because she was in gymnastics for like 20 hours a week. So I needed her to be able to reach me no matter what. My 21-year-old, there are times where I'm still taking away her cell phone because she's not using it the way I feel like she should. So I do a lot of monitoring no matter what age they are. I finally stopped checking my 19-year-olds because I figure since he's got his own apartment, he can have some privacy.
Yeah.
But the 12-year-old, she, you know, if I walk in there and I say, hand me your phone, she knows I get to go through everything.
definitely.
And we're very careful with what app she has. She has Snapchat, and I have to approve every single person she adds.
Rules are important.
Yeah, we're real strict with it, but like you said, it depends on the kid. And you do get more lenient with
Yeah.
each one. It
And you
happens.
can monitor the location with Find My Friends. You can, through family
There's a lot of
sharing,
practical
monitor their screen time. There are a bunch of apps you can get where you can literally look at everything.
There's a watchdog app that
There's
monitors everything.
There's so many. So are you going to,
yeah.
do your boys have phones yet?
No, I mean, at this point, they're still with me most of the time, so we're not like, they're not away from me for any extended periods of time. But I think that when they do start maybe spending more time away from the house, I want something, whether it's a watch that's enabled where they can call me.
Yes.
I don't know about the cell phone yet. My fear is, yes, the internet, but it's like the social media is what scares the heck out of me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, giving
I'm
them a
hoping
cell
that by
phone-
the time they get to be teenagers, that social media is going to be not cool anymore, that they're going to be beyond
was-
that.
no,
Like,
it's gonna
Mom,
get
that's so passe.
But that could be two separate things too, remember. You give them a phone, you don't necessarily have to give them social
Right.
media. It could be like
But they have ways
steps.
to access it. I see how
Yeah.
my 8-year-old and even 5-year-old can find
know.
things when I
Yeah.
think I have restrictions
Yep.
turned on
Yeah.
on my
Yep.
phone or on the computer. So it's like, you know,
The kid that can't work the dishwasher correctly somehow knows to download all the apps.
it's
So,
amazing
Get
how
me
quickly they can
started
figure
on
out
that one.
technology.
I know. Topic for another day. I want to get at least one more wheel spin, so let's see what we land on right now. Mom hacks. Tried and true mom hacks. Go ahead, Kiva, what's yours?
Okay, so recently I went on a trip with my family to California, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before, guys, but instead of waiting till the last minute to pack, I'm very much a procrastinator. I went to the travel section of Walmart and just got all the travel size, like soaps, toothbrush, toothpaste, and just packed their bags ahead of time. And I'm like, why? Like in 17 years, why have I not thought of this? So just go to the store and buy everything new instead of waiting till the last minute and having to add in their like regular stuff. So that's my mom hack.
That's really good. You always have it ready.
Yes,
Instead of buying it
yes.
at the last minute. What about you, Stephanie?
So mine's kind of a trick. It's not really a hack. You know me, my sneaky mom tricks. When I think the kids are fibbing, I've told them that when they fib, white dots form on the back of their tongue. So when I think they're fibbing, I tell them to stick out their tongue. So if they're like, ah, I'm like, okay, they want me to see that. I know they're telling the truth, but if they're like,
Oh my gosh.
I know they're hiding, so
How do you
they're.
come up with this stuff? Seriously, what is inside your brain?
I'm a little twisted.
No, that's so good.
It's like
'Cause
lying
a
about the ice
psychological
cream truck.
test.
Look, look, this many kids, you got to get some tricks.
That's true. That's true. Great. What about you, Laura?
So mine's kind of similar to Kiva's too. We talked about that go bag last time, right? That I always have things packed with me, but especially with being in the pool, going to the beach, I always try to have travel size soaps, shampoos, so they can get cleaned off. You know, we have eczema, so get all that stuff off. So it's nice and moisturize. Our baby powder, I know we've talked about that before for sand. It's amazing. But always having that stuff with us so we can get clean, so we're not like disgusting in the car.
Very good. And mine quickly, I say microwave that stinky kitchen sponge. It takes away the smell and the germs. Thanks, ladies. And Daytime will be right back.